I'm excited to talk about the Impact Facilitator, a new program that I am running for people who want to share their transformational journey, especially in underserved communities. I've got a background of 12 years experience getting contracts, getting funding, getting in the door, facilitating in groups, doing one-to-ones, a whole raft of things. And I've noticed that some people struggle to be able to turn their transformation into action and impact, and I want to help with that. So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about why Beyond Recovery closed and what I'm going to be doing next and how I can help you. Enjoy. COVID really killed Beyond Recovery. When COVID happened, we had a number of contracts lined up. We were supposed to be working with rolling out programs with 11 prisons in the southwest of England, and we had relationships with the violence reduction unit. So things were really picking up in 2020, and we'd worked in half a dozen or more prisons at that point, trained a number of facilitators, and yeah, it was all looking really good. COVID happened, and in the prison world, in the justice world, people were locked down, like we all were, and I went in and did some work with vulnerable people through the safety custody element. But generally, you know, citizens like us couldn't go into prison anymore, and that was fine. You know, for the first year, we actually developed activity packs and then a distance learning program, and we've still got people writing to people in prison from that distance learning program, and I write for the prison newspaper. So for the first couple of years, that's what we did. And I remember thinking, well, you know, if it's all ended, then I'll do whatever I'm meant to be doing next. Then in 2022, prisons were still locked down. So long after we were all out and about and in normal life, people in prison were still on a 23-hour lockdown, and they weren't letting people come in, faith-based, educational-based, well-being-based. Nobody could come in. And so this limped along for a while. I did manage to get into a youth offenders prison with a couple of the lads, and we did a little bit of work there, but really and truly, it was all still locked down. And so it took me, you know, again, another year to realise, well, we need to pivot. And so we pivoted, and we've worked some in the community. We started developing local courses in the community and so on. But I have to say, my heart stayed in the prisons. And as much as I love the work with the community people, and we've worked in homeless shelters, we worked in vulnerable adults who have lost their children to services, and a few other bits and bobs. As much as I loved it, my full heart wasn't in it. And I kept thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I started as a sort of side hustle. I started coaching and working with people. I started developing content for an app called Insight Timer, where, you know, you do like meditations and stuff. And I've got a lot of content on there. And I just started playing with other things, trying to find my next way. So in December last year, 2024, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do a series of live events on Insight Timer, Advent to Peace. So 24 live events on Insight Timer. And of course, being me, I couldn't just do the live events. I had to create a video and send out an email and all the stuff that we do. And I was doing that, and it was a lot of work, but I absolutely loved it so much. And I thought, I'm going to interview some people. And I interviewed a fellow Insight Timer teacher. And after the interview, the next day, he wrote and said, you know, Mama J, I've been interviewed a lot, and I've interviewed a lot. And you are hands down the best interviewer I've ever known. And I said, wow, thank you, I do really love it. And I said, why? And he said, well, first of all, you don't gazump the guest. You're all about the guest feeling comfortable. So if the guest says, I've got a book, you don't say, oh, yeah, I've got a book. But he said, most of all, you listen. I don't know anything about you, and you've interviewed me twice now. And, and yet I know nothing about you. So I was happy with that praise, and I thought, well, that's really nice, because I do really like doing that. And the very next day he wrote to me and he said, Mama J, would you like to have your own TV show? There is a new channel, a new streaming channel, and it's a metaphysical spiritual streaming channel. It's brand new. It launched on the 6th of January this year, and they weren't taking on any more guests, any more hosts, but he got me in. And so I'll be launching my own show on that channel in February. All that to say, or to sort of indicate that I feel like I made the decision to close Beyond Recovery, and these opportunities came up, fast on the heels of that. And I realised, okay, I've made the right decision here, because all of a sudden there was an energetic spike. I suddenly had opportunities. I suddenly had conversations with people that I wasn't having before. And I realised, okay, this is the right thing, because it was a hard decision. It's my baby. I've run that company for 10 years. I've seen a lot of transformations. I've worked with lots of people. I've trained lots of people, and it was really hard. And I started to think it was me. I was the prison lady. If I'm asked to speak on any podcasts or any events, I'm asked to speak about that work. And it's only really last year when I started to share my own story after I'd released Wing of an Angel. And I realised that, oh, this isn't me. This is just the form of something that I'm doing right now. And by releasing that, I'll be released into what next. When you look beyond what you know, when you look beyond what you think you're meant to be doing, when you look beyond what you have been told you should be doing, when you look beyond, you see something else, and you can't see that from within what you already know. Not long after I started Beyond Recovery, I was interviewed, and the interview was called The Volcano Moment. And in that interview, I described that I knew that this is what I'm meant to be doing now. And if I'm not meant to be doing it, I'll know. And I often think back to that video and that interview, because I did know, but I didn't want to let go. And that's okay too. I think that's okay too, because it's all in its own time. But I really see that we have so much more potential than we imagine, and we are constantly boxing ourselves in to a role or a job or something that keeps us small. And we're constantly going to be up against that, because we're up against the limitations of our thoughts. So we're constantly, that's always going to be happening. But as you sort of look beyond those thoughts and be willing, and I was willing to go, okay, what else? There's no safety net. I hadn't, at the end of Beyond Recovery, which was, absolutely my baby, my dream project, I hadn't had a salary for 3 months. All the signs were there, but I was still like, oh no, you're not big enough now. It's trying to wriggle out of my arms, and I wasn't letting it go. And I have a lot of compassion, because what I feel like is our challenges teach us compassion for other people. And so I have a lot of compassion for people who are in that position or stuck with that mindset and don't know, that it's safe. But what I found is that really and truly the safety net is always there. And when you leap, you see it's there. And then that again is so invigorating that suddenly you're back in the flow, you're back into, doing something else, being channeled. Life's living you, life's thriving you, and you're able to bring everything back into play again that maybe got a bit stale or got a bit lost when the other thing needed to be let go of. Post Beyond Recovery, I've been thinking what to do. There is an income that needs to be made as well, and so what can I do? And a funny thing is, for a while, I thought, well, I'll be a coach then, because people have been coming to me. I coach people. I was running a workshop. I do workshops on inspired action, something that I'm very passionate about. I was running a workshop in Denmark, which is my second year running this workshop, 2 days sold out. So I was like really happy with that. And I thought maybe this is the direction. And I was in bed and it just hit me like a lightning bolt. I thought, why am I ignoring 12 years worth of experience, 12 years worth of knowledge? Everywhere, even in Denmark, people will come up to me and say, how do you get into prisons? I want to work with the people, the immigrants in the hostel down the road. I want to get into a homeless shelter. People always ask me how to do community-based projects, no matter where I am. And I was lying in bed thinking, isn't it obvious what I should be doing then? I should be helping those people. Like the signs were there. And I thought, well, do you know what? We have a curriculum which I've been training people in for a number of years. But more than that, I see innocently a lot of facilitators, coaches, heart-led, and especially socially minded people have a transformation, want to share it with the world, and then get stuck because they haven't maybe got a background in business or social enterprises. They don't know how to get a meeting. They don't know how to market it. They don't know how to write a bid. They don't know how to get funding. And I thought, well, there's a massive gap. And it's all things that I know about. And you know how they say monetize your skills? So I was like, okay, well, I'll monetize my skills. And as it started to unfold, I started to see a bigger and bigger vision, because then I started to see, if I activate all these facilitators who have this amazing embodied transformation but don't know how to share it with the world, then we could have free principles everywhere. And I've worked in underserved communities, so I know that some people get lost, and when those people get lost, they don't always want to come back to Mama J, right? Because they've got something on that. They want to prove themselves with me. But they might go to down the road to speak to so-and-so if they know that's available and accessible for people. And that will also be part of the legacy of Beyond Recovery. So it all clicked into place, and I could see that it would be an amazing service to people, and I could be true to me and to what I've learned, and I can share a lot. Any meeting that I'm ever on, that people will say, how do you do this and how do you do that? And I thought, I'll just share it with people, and they'll pay me, obviously, and we'll really accelerate that going from learning to action. And it actually only just occurred to me that when I first started Beyond Recovery, I'd been working in prison for about 6 months, and I was on a quite a well-known 3 Principles facilitators course, and I was absolutely exhausted. I really was burnt out. And I sat in my bath one night and thought, I know I'm meant to be doing this work, but something's wrong because I shouldn't be this tired. You know, what am I missing? Which is my favourite question. What am I missing? And immediately I got the answer, ask that facilitators course if there's anybody who wants to volunteer. Because I saw there were people in there who had done that program twice and they still weren't starting groups or sharing what they knew. And that's what Beyond Recovery brought. It enabled people to start sharing. And so in a way, it's full circle back to that. And I can help people start businesses. I can help people work in any areas, but my specialty is underserved communities. It reminds me of, you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So you can start fresh. You can reset. You can repurpose. I talked about Insight Timer. I do a live on Insight Timer, which I also stream to another platform, which I then repurpose as a video for YouTube, which I also repurpose as a course for Insight Timer, you know, so nothing's wasted, if you like. And if we think about our lives and our roles, we can refresh. I could have refreshed Beyond Recovery, and somebody has actually asked me this, why didn't you just do that in Beyond Recovery, what you're doing now? And that has occurred to me, and I wondered about that. And it has occurred to me from time to time to do the very thing that I'm planning to do now. But there were a few things. For me, I couldn't see what was next until I'd cleaned up what I'd got. And what I'd got had got overly complicated, too many things, trying different things, grasping, you know, doing this, doing that. None of it coming from the real surge of energy, you know, all coming from trying to keep it going. And when it came to about October, I'm a good fundraiser. I can get funding, you know, it doesn't trouble me to do that. And I just thought, oh, do I really want to do that? And that's a sign. And it isn't a sign, and it's not a sign of not do any action. It's a sign of, this is not the action, there's something else. So then you look again and you say, okay, well, what do I need to be doing then? And it might take you a while. It took me a little while, but I knew not to do that. I knew, right, okay, that's not what I'm doing. So therefore the money is going to run out. If I'm not applying for grants and I'm not going for funding, the money's going to run out. So let's see what happens next. So there was a little bit of that. But I couldn't see what was next until I'd cleaned all of that up. And that was one reason. But there was another reason as well, which is when I was running a social enterprise, I did so much for free. So much. I've consulted with people around the world. People have started things because of the consultations that I've given them. And always free. And 2 years ago, I realised if you want to be paid for stuff, you can't keep doing stuff for free. Like, it's just the way it works. You can't tell the universe, oh yeah, I'm available for free for everybody, and then get paid. And so I'd started to cut off all the free stuff that I was doing. But I had this mindset that no one would pay for that course. No one would pay for that program. And so I couldn't have run it under Beyond Recovery. Whereas now, for whatever reason, I've freed myself of all of that baggage and all of that thinking and all of that shoulds. I should give this away because it's a spiritual understanding and you know, should share my experience. I've freed myself from all of that. And for whatever reason, I had to end Beyond Recovery to be able to free myself. and that was the catalyst, you know. And now I see, oh yeah, I can offer this to the world. I'm not ashamed to charge for it. Easiest thing is that I'm running a series of masterclasses in February, which are going to be slithers about the program so that people can get a taster. They're free and they'll be on a Thursday. The program at the moment, its working title is the Impact Facilitator Accelerator. And what it is, it's for people who want to share but feel stuck. So they want to start groups, they want to work in certain places, they want to get contracts, but they feel stuck. It might be confidence, it might be they don't know how to ask for money, or have those conversations, the door openers. It might be funding, or it might be just some practical tips. One being, for instance, here's a free one for you. Nobody wants to hear about the free principles. You can't walk into a new organization and say, I've got this thing called the free principles and it's amazing. Everybody's going to glaze over. So you have to find ways of talking about your transformation and what you see is possible, and listen and find the gaps that they're struggling with. And then you say, I've got something that can help with that. So it's, you know, stuff like that, the way that I've been able to get in, door openers and so on, and fun along the way. The promise is that you'll move from where you are now to action and impact in 60 days. And I believe that's entirely possible. Obviously, the people have to do the work, and I will just be there guiding along the way. And it starts on the 10th of March 2025. I'm running a curriculum training on the just before that for 3 days, and then I'm going to start this new program. But I'm thinking right now it's going to be a rolling program. So the first cohort, then we'll keep going. And what I really want to do is create a community of people that can help each other. So within the program, you will be part of a community that, let's say you want to do a listening workshop somewhere, you can buddy up with someone and you can practice doing your listening workshop, so that they can learn together, they can share best practice, they can share their wins, you know, and not have such a lonely journey. Listening to where their problems are, because often I'm just thinking about the homeless shelter we worked with down the road. They've got courses in place, they've got well-being in place, they've got stuff in place that's working. What's not working? And when you ask what's not working, then you can see, okay, what's not working is people are still feeling like they're blaming. They're blaming everyone. They're not there's no self-efficacy. They're blaming everyone for their circumstances, and we can't seem to help them past that. Great, I can definitely help with that. And so you look for the gaps, you look for what they're struggling with, and then you offer, if you feel you can, you offer to help with that. And you don't have to be all things to all people. And of course, we know once you get in, all boats rise with the tide, and all sorts of things change and everything else. But in actual fact, to get in, you have to speak their language, you have to understand what they want, and then you have to be able to say that you can offer that. And it's most meetings I've ever had, the people walk away saying, oh, I feel like I've just had a retreat. That's what you want them to feel.